Anton LaVey. He was one of the most dangerous figures in modern occultism. Born Howard Stanton LaVey in Chicago in 1930, he later changed his name to Anton Szandor LaVey and emerged in the 1960s as the founder of what he called the first organized religion dedicated to Satan. But contrary to popular belief, LaVey's Satanism wasn't about devil worship. It was about challenging religious hypocrisy, embracing carnal desires, and worshiping the self as the highest authority. In 1966, LaVey declared the founding of the Church of Satan on April 30th, a night historically associated with witches and dark magic. He shaved his head, dressed in theatrical black robes, and proclaimed himself the high priest of Satan. To the media and the religious world, he was a walking provocation. But to his followers, he was a revolutionary thinker who gave them permission to reject guilt, shame, and blind faith. LaVey's most influential work, The Satanic Bible, was published in 1969. It blended philosophy, psychology, and performance ritual into a manifesto for the modern Satanist. The book rejects the spiritual doctrines of Christianity and instead promotes indulgence, vengeance, self-preservation, and personal empowerment. It presents a harsh but unapologetic worldview. Turn the other cheek? Hell no, if someone slaps you, strike back. Love your neighbor only if they deserve it. In LaVey's world, compassion was earned, not assumed. Despite the outrage he stirred, LaVey's version of Satanism was fundamentally atheistic. He didn't believe in God or the devil. In fact, he saw most religion as a tool for control, designed to keep people ashamed of their natural instincts. Satan, to LaVey, represented everything that mainstream religion condemned: lust, pride, defiance, and individualism, and instead of suppressing those traits, he celebrated them. Anton LaVey died in 1997, but his legacy lives on through the Church of Satan and the countless subcultures influenced by his philosophy. Jack Parsons, he was a man torn between science and sorcery, a rocket scientist by day and an occultist by night. Born in 1914 in Pasadena, California, his full name was Marvel Whiteside Parsons, but he would later be known as Jack, one of the most brilliant and bizarre minds of the 20th century. He helped pioneer American rocketry and co-founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which would eventually become part of NASA. But while he launched humanity toward the stars with scientific innovation, he also delved into the dark depths of the occult, seeking spiritual power through rituals, sex magic, and forbidden knowledge. Parsons was fascinated with the works of Aleister Crowley, the infamous British occultist. In the 1940s, Jack joined the Ordo Templi Orientis, Crowley's magical order, and quickly rose through its ranks. He led the Agape Lodge in Pasadena, where rituals were performed regularly, some involving robes, incense, and chants, others involving sex magic. Parsons believed that magic and science weren't opposites, they were both tools for unlocking hidden truths of the universe. In 1946, Parsons undertook his most ambitious and controversial ritual, known as the Babylon Working. Alongside science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard, the same man who would later found Scientology, Parsons performed a series of occult rituals designed to summon the divine feminine force known as Babylon. He believed that by channeling this energy, he could help bring about a new age of spiritual and sexual liberation. The ceremonies involved chanting, invocations, and intense sexual acts intended to create a magical child, an incarnation of divine energy that could change the world. But things began to spiral out of control. Hubbard eventually betrayed Parsons, running off with his money and his lover. The scientific community distanced itself from Parsons due to his wild reputation, and the US government began investigating him for his occult connections, fearing he might be a security risk during the Cold War. His once promising career in aerospace was effectively destroyed, and he became a recluse, dabbling in homemade explosives, alchemy, and occult texts. On June 17, 1952, Jack Parsons died in a mysterious explosion in his home laboratory. Officially, it was ruled an accident caused by mishandling volatile chemicals. But conspiracy theories abound. Some believe he was assassinated. Others say it was a magical misfire or even a ritual sacrifice gone wrong. Today, Jack Parsons is remembered as both a scientific genius and a spiritual rebel. Micheal Aquino. A U.S. Army officer by profession and a high-ranking occultist by passion, he lived at the intersection of military intelligence and ceremonial magic. Born in 1946, Aquino was a highly educated man, sharp, articulate, and well-versed in psychological warfare. But beneath his academic and military background lay a deep devotion to the dark arts, particularly the left-hand path. Aquino first rose to prominence within Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, where he quickly became a key figure due to his intellect and disciplined approach to magic. However, Aquino grew disillusioned with what he saw as LaVey's commercialization of Satanism. In 1975, after a philosophical split, he broke away and founded the Temple of Set, a more esoteric and theistic order that viewed Set, not Satan, as a real metaphysical being. To Aquino, Set represented the primordial force of individual consciousness and self-deification. His new order emphasized personal evolution, spiritual elitism, and the pursuit of immortality through will and wisdom. Aquino claimed that the Temple of Set was created through direct communication with the god Set himself. He wrote extensively on what he called the Book of Coming Forth by Night, a channeled text that he believed was Set's message to humanity. In contrast to LaVey's atheistic and symbolic Satanism, Aquino's teachings were metaphysical, complex, and deeply mystical. He viewed magic as a science of the mind and the soul, and believed that through ritual and initiation, a practitioner could separate from the limitations of the material world and achieve divine selfhood. His dual identity as both a military officer and a cult leader made him a magnet for controversy. Aquino served as a psychological operations officer in the U.S. Army, holding the rank of lieutenant colonel. His involvement in psychological warfare led some to speculate that he blended occult principles with military strategies, a claim he never outright confirmed, but never seemed eager to deny either. His reputation took a darker turn in the 1980s, when he was falsely implicated in the infamous Presidio child abuse scandal, a case that sparked a wave of satanic panic across America. Despite extensive investigations, no charges were filed and Aquino was eventually cleared, but the damage to his public image lingered. Until his death in 2019, Micheal Aquino remained a controversial yet influential figure in occult circles. He was seen by some as a brilliant philosopher of the left-hand path, and by others as a dangerous and manipulative man who blurred the lines between reality and ritual. He authored several works including The Temple of Set, Black Magic, and Mind War, the latter of which theorized how psychological operations could influence global outcomes. Edward Kelley, born in England in 1555, he was best known as the scryer or spirit medium for the famous mathematician and occultist, Dr. John Dee. Together, they claimed to communicate with angels using a crystal ball and a mystical language they called Enochian, said to be the original language of the angels. Kelley was known for his dramatic seances and bold personality, which contrasted with Dee's scholarly demeanor. Some believed Kelley was a fraud, using theatrical tricks to impress Dee and gain favor, yet despite the skepticism, Dee trusted him deeply, so much so that he allowed Kelley to lead many of their spiritual sessions, during which they recorded entire volumes of so-called angelic revelations. Later in life, Kelley claimed to have discovered the secret to alchemy, specifically the Philosopher's Stone, the mythical substance capable of turning base metals into gold. These claims attracted the attention of European nobility, but also led to his imprisonment when he couldn't deliver results. He died under mysterious circumstances in 1597, likely while trying to escape from captivity. Maria Orsic, often described as a psychic medium, mystic, and alleged member of a secret Nazi-era occult group known as the Vril Society. She is believed to have been born in Vienna in 1895 to a Croatian father and a German mother. According to various accounts, Maria Orsic was no ordinary medium. She was said to possess extraordinary telepathic and channeled communication abilities. In the early 20th century, she allegedly made contact with beings from Aldebaran, a star system in the Taurus constellation. These entities, said to be part of an ancient Aryan race, supposedly provided Maria with detailed blueprints for advanced technology, including anti-gravity engines and spacecraft. Alongside other female mystics, she reportedly led seances and psychic transmissions that resulted in strange diagrams and scripts in unknown languages, believed by her followers to be alien or Sumerian in origin. Maria became central to the mythology of the so-called Vril Society, a shadowy group that supposedly merged German nationalism with deep occult teachings. Inspired by the 1871 science fiction novel The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton, the Vril Society believed in a cosmic energy force called Vril, an all-powerful substance capable of fueling machines, empowering the human will, and connecting humanity to higher dimensional beings. Maria and her fellow Vrilians, many of whom were young women with long, flowing hair they believed acted as psychic antennae, were said to be in direct contact with these extraterrestrial intelligences. As World War II intensified, so did the rumors surrounding Maria Orsic and the Vril Society. Some believe they collaborated with the Nazi regime in secret, using the Vril communications to attempt to develop flying saucers, time portals, or other exotic technologies. While mainstream historians reject these claims as pseudoscience, conspiracy circles suggest that Maria's knowledge played a role in the infamous Nazi UFO programs. Then, in 1945, Maria Orsic vanished. As the Allies closed in on Berlin and Nazi Germany collapsed, she reportedly sent a final message to her followers: "No one is staying here." To this day, no verifiable record of her death has surfaced. Some claim she died anonymously, others insist she and the Vril women escaped. Perhaps to South America, perhaps to a secret Arctic base, or even beyond Earth entirely. Adam Weishaupt. He was the mastermind behind one of the most legendary secret societies in history, the Illuminati. Born in 1748 in Ingolstadt, Bavaria, was a brilliant scholar, a professor of canon law, and a radical thinker at a time when Europe was dominated by monarchy, church authority, and rigid social structures. What made Adam different was his deep belief in reason, liberty, and the power of human intellect to reshape the world. But rather than shouting his ideas in public, he chose to spread them in secret. In 1776, the same year as the American Declaration of Independence, Weishaupt founded the Order of the Illuminati. His goals were to challenge the oppressive power of the church and the monarchy, and to promote Enlightenment values like rationalism, equality, and freedom of thought. But he didn't trust the public to handle these ideas directly. Instead, he created a secret order that would infiltrate existing power structures, educational institutions, religious orders, political circles, with the aim of slowly transforming society from within. The Illuminati was structured like a mystery school, with multiple degrees, secret initiations, and hidden knowledge revealed only to those who advanced through the ranks. Members were taught to question authority, reject superstition, and work toward a more enlightened society. But they were also expected to obey the hierarchy of the order itself. At its peak, the Illuminati reportedly had hundreds of members, including poets, philosophers, nobles, and scientists. They spread across parts of Germany and Austria, blending in with Freemasonry and other esoteric groups. But their growing influence didn't go unnoticed. In 1784, the Bavarian government declared the Illuminati a threat to the state and outlawed the organization. Adam was forced into exile, fleeing to Gotha, where he continued to write and reflect on philosophy, but never returned to public power. Gerald Gardner. He was an English civil servant, folklorist, and occultist, best known as the founder of modern Wicca. Born in 1884, Gardner spent much of his early life traveling across Asia, where he became fascinated with tribal beliefs, magical practices, and ancient religions. This exposure would shape his lifelong interest in the mystical and the arcane. In the late 1930s and 1940s, Gardner claimed he was initiated into a surviving coven of witches in southern England, a group he referred to as the New Forest Coven. He believed this coven preserved elements of a pre-Christian pagan religion that had been passed down in secret for centuries. Gardner took what he learned and began to codify it into a system of practice. By the early 1950s, Gardner began publicly sharing these teachings, giving birth to what we now call Wicca. He combined elements of ceremonial magic, Freemasonry, theosophy, and British folklore to create a modern pagan religion centered on the worship of a god and a goddess, the use of ritual magic, and a deep reverence for nature and the seasons. Gardner's books, including Witchcraft Today and The Meaning of Witchcraft, were pivotal in bringing Wicca into public awareness. His rituals often involved casting circles, invoking deities, celebrating sabbats and esbats, and using ceremonial tools like athames and pentacles. His approach was hands-on, deeply spiritual, but also theatrical. He saw ritual as both sacred and symbolic. Though his claims of ancient origins were often challenged, Gardner's influence was undeniable. He effectively rebranded witchcraft not as devil worship or superstition, but as an earth-centered spiritual path. Franz Bardon, born in 1909 in Opava, Czechoslovakia, was a quiet but profound figure in the world of Hermetic magic. Unlike many occultists of his time, Bardon didn't seek followers or fame. He focused on disciplined personal transformation over theory or ritual. His teachings laid the foundation for modern Western esoteric practice. Bardon is best known for his trilogy on Hermetic magic. His first and most famous book, Initiation into Hermetics, offers a step-by-step guide to mastering the mind, body, and spirit. Techniques like breath control, visualization, and mental focus were central, not for show, but for real inner power. His second book, The Practice of Magical Evocation, explores the summoning of spiritual beings, but with a strong emphasis on humility and self-mastery. The magician, Bardon believed, should work with divine order, not dominate it. In The Key to the True Kabbalah, his third book, Bardon taught how sound and vibration could be used to shape reality, a unique take that blended mystical language with cosmic resonance. Bardon's life was not without hardship. He was reportedly imprisoned by the Nazis during World War II and later by the communist regime. He died in prison in 1958 under unclear circumstances, yet his legacy lives on. Bardon's books continue to guide magicians, mystics, and seekers who value authentic inner transformation over superficial magic.